She looked at her with contempt, just because of her body. Based on true events, Emma walked into the restaurant hoping to enjoy a quiet meal after a long day at work. Her smile was shy, but full of hope, unaware of the storm that was approaching. As she took her seat, she couldn't help but notice some curious glances, but thought it was normal in a busy place. What she didn't know was that she would soon become the center of attention for something much crueler. The waitress approached her table with determined steps, a mocking smile drawn on her face. Her eyes sparkled with sarcasm as she directed a comment that Emma would never forget. "Are you going to eat all that by yourself?" she said with a cutting tone, provoking contained laughter among some customers. Emma felt all eyes stabbing into her like invisible daggers. An intense heat rose to her face, mixing shame, anger, and sadness. She felt her heart beating strongly, each beat reminding her that she had been humiliated in front of strangers. For a few seconds, the air seemed heavy, dense, as if the atmosphere itself were judging her. Emma lowered her gaze, trying to control the tears that threatened to fall. However, amid the shame, something began to awaken inside her, a spark of strength that told her she would not allow anyone to make her feel less. Emma took a deep breath, trying to compose herself. She remembered all the times she had been criticized for her appearance, but this time she wouldn't let humiliation define her. Around her, she noticed looks of sympathy and support. Some customers exchanged gestures of disapproval toward the waitress, showing that not everyone was on her side. The waitress continued observing her with superiority, believing her comment had succeeded in hurting Emma. She didn't realize that her arrogance was beginning to turn against her. Emma gathered enough courage to lift her head, feeling how her self-esteem strengthened with each conscious breath. She would not allow that moment to ruin her day. In her mind, she began to imagine a different scenario where justice would prevail and the truth would come to light. It was the beginning of something unexpected, something that would change everything. Each mocking look from the waitress now seemed empty, as if her own insecurity was reflected in her. Emma smiled slightly, certain that something extraordinary was about to happen. The murmur of the customers grew, and Emma felt that the tension of the moment reached its peak. The situation was about to take a turn that no one expected. At that instant, the restaurant manager appeared, alerted by the worried looks and comments among the customers. His presence filled the atmosphere with silent authority. He walked to Emma's table and stared at the waitress, who began to sweat nervously upon noticing that her attitude had been discovered. "We do not tolerate this type of behavior in our establishment," said the manager with a firm and clear voice. Emma felt immediate relief that comforted her deeply. Some customers applauded discreetly, showing support for Emma and disapproval toward the waitress's conduct. The feeling of justice filled the place with positive energy. The waitress tried to stammer an apology, but her words sounded empty, unable to repair the damage caused. Emma remained serene, watching as the truth began to prevail. Emma breathed slowly, enjoying the feeling of silent victory that ran through her body. The injustice was being corrected, and her dignity recovered. The atmosphere of the restaurant changed completely. Fear and tension gave way to an air of respect and admiration. Emma knew that moment would mark her life and that of those who witnessed the scene. After the manager reprimanded the waitress, Emma felt a mixture of relief and determination. Her heart still beat fast, but now with a different force, one that empowered her. She watched as the waitress lowered her head, ashamed, and knew that act of humiliation would not go unpunished. It was the beginning of her own moment of justice. Meanwhile, the other customers began to look at her with respect and curiosity. Some even smiled at her, recognizing her courage in maintaining calm in the face of cruelty. Emma took a deep breath and decided she would not remain silent. With a firm and confident voice, she asked to speak with the manager to explain what had happened in detail. The manager nodded, showing himself willing to listen. Emma recounted every word of the waitress, every mocking gesture, describing how she had felt humiliated in front of everyone. As she spoke, her voice became stronger and clearer. She noticed how the tension in the place changed, with people paying attention, some nodding with approval. For the first time since entering, Emma felt powerful. She wasn't just defending her dignity, but also sending a message to everyone present. No one deserves to be humiliated. The waitress tried to murmur apologies, but her words lacked sincerity. Emma looked at her directly and calmly said, "This isn't just about me. This is about respect." The manager intervened, assuring Emma that they would take action. The waitress would be held accountable, and the staff would receive training on customer treatment. Meanwhile, other customers began approaching Emma, some sharing similar experiences of humiliation. Empathy grew in the atmosphere, turning the bad moment into something collective. Emma felt an unexpected connection with these people. She understood that her experience, though painful, could help others feel less alone in the face of cruelty. The waitress, now visibly nervous, tried to justify her behavior, but no one listened. Emma's power and the manager's presence had left her without excuses. The customer, who had previously feared the looks, was now observed with admiration. Each gesture of confidence she showed reinforced the justice being imposed in that place. At that instant, Emma understood that day would not only change her personal experience, but would also leave a lesson for everyone present. Just when it seemed everything was returning to normal, something unexpected happened. An anonymous customer who had witnessed the scene approached Emma with a knowing smile. He handed her a small envelope and said, "I think this belongs to you." Emma, surprised, opened it and found something she never would have imagined. Inside was a letter of support, signed by several people who had also suffered humiliation in life, expressing solidarity and admiration for her courage. Emotion invaded her. The tears she had contained began to flow, but this time they were of gratitude and pride. She realized that her dignity was not only intact, but stronger than ever. The waitress, observing everyone's reaction, seemed increasingly smaller, trapped in her own shame. The power had changed hands, and the customer was now the figure of respect. Emma carefully kept the letter, feeling that gesture strengthened her and gave her a reason to face any future challenge with confidence. The afternoon continued, but the restaurant's atmosphere had changed forever. What began as humiliation became a symbol of justice, empathy, and courage. Emma settled into her table, trying to regain calm, but her heart still beat rapidly. Every look in the restaurant seemed to observe her with a mixture of respect and admiration. As she took a sip of her drink, she noticed the waitress was visibly uncomfortable, avoiding any eye contact. The arrogance she had shown before disappeared, as if by magic. Suddenly, a group of customers approached Emma, asking how she had managed to stay firm. Their words, full of curiosity and admiration, made her feel more powerful than she ever imagined. Emma smiled, responding with humility but firmly. "It's not about me. It's about everyone deserving respect." Her voice resonated in the atmosphere, firm and clear. The waitress tried to approach again, seeking some convincing apology, but Emma stopped her with a calm and confident gesture. She would not allow the moment to deviate from its purpose. Meanwhile, the manager watched everything attentively, making sure the situation wouldn't get out of control again. Every detail was being recorded as part of the lesson being taught. Emma felt the restaurant's air change completely. The initial tension slowly transformed into a feeling of justice and respect toward her and all those present. Just when she thought the situation had stabilized, something caught her attention. An elegantly dressed man sitting in a corner was watching her with interest. He stood up and approached Emma, smiling warmly and friendly. "Sorry to interrupt, but I saw what happened and wanted to congratulate you on your attitude," he said sincerely. Emma was surprised, not knowing how to react to so much kindness after being humiliated. A mixture of emotions invaded her, but soon she felt comforted. The man offered her a business card. "I work for an organization that supports people who have been victims of discrimination. I would like to invite you to participate in a special project." The card opened a world of unexpected possibilities for her. Emma had not only recovered her dignity, but now found herself facing a unique opportunity to help others. The waitress, seeing the scene, was paralyzed. The customer she had tried to humiliate now received recognition and opportunities she never would have imagined. Emma took a deep breath, feeling that everything that had happened had a greater purpose, and that moment was transforming her life in ways she never would have anticipated. As the man withdrew, Emma couldn't help but look around. The customers who had only watched before now looked at her with admiration and respect, as if she were an example of courage. The waitress, increasingly nervous, murmured apologies that no one heard. Her initial humiliation had been replaced by Emma's silent and powerful triumph. Emma decided to write some quick words on her phone, sharing what she had experienced on social media. She wanted her story to reach those who needed inspiration. Upon sending the message, she received immediate responses of support and solidarity. People she had never met sent her words of encouragement, thanking her for her courage. The feeling of community and empathy filled her with emotion. She understood that moment wasn't just about her, but about a universal message of respect and dignity. For the first time in a long time, Emma felt truly powerful. She had not only faced humiliation, but had transformed a painful moment into an opportunity for growth. The afternoon continued, but Emma knew her life had changed forever. What began as humiliation was becoming a story of resilience and strength that no one would forget. Days passed, and Emma's story began to circulate on social media. What had started as a simple lunch ended up becoming an example of courage and dignity. Thousands of people shared her post, leaving comments full of support. Some told their own experiences of humiliation and how Emma's words had given them strength. Emma couldn't believe what was happening. In just a few hours, she had gone from being an anonymous woman to becoming the voice of many people who suffered in silence. Her phone wouldn't stop ringing. Local media wanted to interview her. Organizations offered her participation in campaigns against discrimination. Everything felt like a dream. Although excited, Emma remained humble. She didn't seek fame or attention. She only wanted no one else to have to go through what she had experienced. One night, while reading thank you messages, she understood that her experience had a greater purpose: to demonstrate that respect and empathy always triumph over cruelty. In silence, she was grateful for that moment of pain that had become an opportunity to inspire others. Without knowing it, fate still had a bigger surprise prepared for her. One day, Emma received an unexpected call. It was the same man who had approached her at the restaurant, inviting her to a special event in Rotterdam. "We want to publicly recognize your courage," he told her in a kind tone. Emma hesitated for a moment, but something in her heart told her she should go. When she arrived at the venue, she found herself with an auditorium full of people. Lights, cameras, applause, everything seemed unreal. Her story had touched more hearts than she imagined. On stage, the organizer presented her as an example of human dignity. "Today we honor a woman who transformed humiliation into inspiration," he announced to the audience. Emma went up on stage with tears in her eyes, not from sadness, but from the emotion of seeing how an act of cruelty had generated a wave of kindness. She told her story with a firm voice, recounting every detail of that day at the restaurant and how she learned that true strength is born from self-respect. When she finished her speech, the audience stood up. Applause, tears, and hugs filled the room. Emma felt she had closed a chapter of her life with pride and hope. Among the audience, a woman slowly stood up. Emma recognized her immediately. It was the waitress from the restaurant. Silence invaded the auditorium in an instant. With her face full of tears, the waitress took the microphone and said, "I was the one who humiliated you, and I haven't stopped thinking about it since that day. You changed my life." Emma looked at her surprised, unable to speak. The audience held its breath while the waitress continued with a trembling voice. "Since then I understood what the pain our words cause is. I left my job and now I help women who were discriminated against like you." Tears ran down Emma's face, who slowly approached the woman. Without saying anything, she hugged her. In that embrace, hatred dissolved and only forgiveness and humanity remained. The audience burst into applause. Not for the story itself, but for what it represented: the possibility of changing, of healing, of forgiving. At that moment, Emma understood that the incredible thing wasn't what happened to her, but what she managed to inspire in others. When the applause calmed down, Emma and Lisa remained embraced for a long moment. Words weren't necessary. That gesture was enough to close a circle of pain and turn it into forgiveness. Emma felt a peace she had never experienced. She had gone from tears to strength, from shame to pride. She was no longer the woman who walked trembling into a restaurant, but someone who inspired others not to give up. Lisa, with eyes full of tears, whispered to her, "Thank you for not hating me, for making me see that we all deserve a second chance." And Emma, smiling, responded softly, "Change begins when we decide to be better." That night, Emma's story traveled through social media and local media. Thousands of people felt touched by her message, not just because of the humiliation she suffered, but because of the way she transformed it into a lesson of self-love and empathy. Both women followed different paths, but united by the same purpose: to inspire others. Emma began giving talks about self-esteem and respect, while Lisa collaborated with foundations fighting discrimination. The past couldn't be erased, but it could be healed. And in every word, in every testimony, pain became hope. Over time, Emma understood that the incredible thing wasn't having faced humiliation, but having transformed it into strength. What once made her cry now made thousands of people cry with emotion. Sometimes, life breaks us only to teach us what we're made of. Emma didn't seek revenge or compassion, only truth. And in that truth, she found her freedom. And you? Do you believe forgiveness can change someone's destiny? Leave us your answer in the comments and subscribe for more real stories that touch the heart.